Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. We have the third lecture of this basic English grammar series, and that is kinds of sentences. So, we have kinds of sentences in this chapter, kinds of sentences by purpose. By purpose, we have four kinds of sentences, and that are declarative or assertive sentences. Second one is interrogative sentences, imperative sentences, and the fourth one is exclamatory sentences. So now we shall individually deal one by one that how they function and what are these. First of all, we have declarative sentences. Look at the definition of a declarative sentence. A declarative or assertive sentence gives information. It may tell fact or opinion. Okay, keep remember. A declarative sentence tell us a fact or an opinion. And a declarative sentence ends in full stop or period. Full stop has the second name is period. Full stop is also called period. So this is the declarative sentence definition, and now look at the example we have. Example is Asif reads a book. Okay, so it is, you may say, it is an information about the subject, that is Asif. Now come to the next. Asif does not play football. Now here also the information about Asif, that is the subject in both of the sentences, and there the rest of the predicate is telling us some information about the subject. So here we can learn that a declarative sentence can be affirmative or negative, can be affirmative or negative. There is no restriction. A declarative sentence can be both affirmative and negative. So by studying this, let us come to the next, that is interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence asks questions and ends in question mark. Question mark. Interrogatives identification is at the end of the sentence we can see a question mark. Look at the example. First example is how are you. How are you is a sentence, and it is asking asking a question. So the whole sentence may be said as interrogative sentence. We have next example, a sentence of interrogative. Do you understand me? Do you understand me? And if you look carefully at the end, there is question mark at the end of the sentence. So this is question mark is also the identification of the interrogative sentence, and interrogative sentences ask questions. And we have the third example, where are they going? So this is also an interrogative sentence. Uh, Next we have imperative sentence. An imperative sentence expresses advice, suggestion, request, order, or command, warning, or wish. It ends in full stop or period. Likewise, declarative sentence and imperative sentence both end in full stop or a period. But the difference between the imperative and declarative sentence is an imperative sentence expresses an advice, suggestion, request, order, or command, warning, or wish. But however, a declarative sentence only states a fact or gives us information. Now look at the example, be quiet. Be quiet here indirectly it is, not indirectly, sorry, directly it is giving the order, and we may say that it is an imperative sentence. We have next example, please help me. Please help me is a request. In this sentence we can may say that it is a request. Okay, so now dear friends, look at both of these sentences. Can you see the subject? There is no subject written or in we when we speak. So here we have the subject, and that is you. That is you. And in imperative sentences, you is always a hidden, kept secret, and it is well understood. Be quiet mean when someone says be quiet, so it is speaking of speaking to someone or many people to say be quiet. And if someone is saying that please help me, so he is saying to the you, subject you, so that is hidden. But if you look at the third example, Asif quit smoking. Now here Asif, here is written, Asif is not the subject of the sentence. It is called the direct address. What is it called? It is called the direct address. And but we have the subject, as earlier we have discussed, we have subject is you. Okay, so here Asif is not the subject of the sentence quit smoking, it is a direct address for Asif. And the last we have exclamatory sentence, and exclamatory sentence shows sudden feelings or emotions. Sudden feelings or emotions, and it ends in exclamation mark. Exclamation mark, look at this. This is the recognition or identification of an exclamatory sentence. Okay, so aha, hmm, we can say that aha, we have such a pleasant party or whatever you say. So these are called the exclamatory sentence when you show sudden feelings or sudden or deep emotions. Next example we have, that was such an exciting party. That was such an exciting party, and at the end of the sentence you may see the exclamation mark, which is the identification of the whole sentence, that is exclamatory sentence. So an exclamatory sentence can begin with the question words too. So keep remember any of the question word. Now here we have the example. How lovely to see Asif. How lovely. So how is the question word, and it is starting, but it is not creating the sense of interrogation or question. So keep remember that an exclamatory sentence can also be begin with the question words. And we have the next example, what wonderful weather of Kohlu. What wonderful weather. So now we have the question word here to what. So what is also is an part of exclamation. Now we have kinds of sentences by function. Earlier we have discussed kinds of sentences by purpose, but now we will discuss that kinds of sentences by function. So likewise, as kinds of sentences by purpose, by function we have four types of sentences too. One is a simple sentence, second is compound, third complex, and the fourth is compound complex sentence. First of all, we will discuss about the simple sentence. A simple sentence has one independent clause. One independent clause. Keep remember, we have earlier discussed the definition and explanation of a clause. So you must know about the clause. Only one independent clause can make a simple sentence. Look at the example, Asif reads a book. So Asif reads a book is a sentence, and it may be said that it has one clause, one clause, that is independent clause, one clause and one sentence. He is playing cricket. Same is the case with he is playing cricket sentence. So now we have the next, that is compound sentence. Compound sentence. A compound sentence has two independent clauses. Keep remember, two independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction or conjunctive adverbs or semicolon. Okay, so two independent clauses. This is the main thing, that are two independent clauses. When we see two independent clauses and those independent clauses are joined by coordinating conjunction, either subjunctive conjunction or a semicolon, so that sentence would be called as compound sentence. How? Look at the example. Asif reads poetry, but Ali reads novels. Here we have two clauses and two individually, if we write or speak them. Asif reads poetry, it is giving complete sense and complete meaning. And in case if we say Ali reads novel, so it has also a complete meaning by its own. So now we have here a coordinating conjunction, that is but. So both of the sentences are joined by the coordinating conjunction. That is why we may say that it is a compound sentence. Next example, Asif reads poetry, however, Ali reads novels. Now here we have two independent clauses joined by subjunctive adverb, that is however. And before however, you may see something, that is here we have used a semicolon. So there must be a semicolon before putting subjunctive adverb. Next example, Asif reads poetry, semicolon, Ali reads novels. So this may also be called as the compound sentence, because at the definition we have said that two independent clauses can also be joined by a semicolon. So a semicolon, when joined two sentences, two clauses, not sentences, it may be said a compound sentence. Now let us discuss the next, that is complex sentence. A complex sentence has one dependent clause and one independent clause joined by subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. Okay, so keep remember this here. In the earlier, compound sentence has two independent clauses, but in the complex sentences we have one dependent clause and one independent clause, and both of these dependent and independent clauses are joined by a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun. Look at the example. Although Asif reads poetry, Ali reads novels. Now subordinating conjunction is although, and although had joined two sentences. If we say only, we say although Asif reads poetry. So it may give complete sense, but it is not complete without an independent clause, that is Ali reads novels. So it may be said Asif reads poetry. Asif reads poetry. It is called a sentence, not sentence, sorry. It is called fragment sentences. Which sentences? Fragment sentences. When subordinating clause starts a sentence, not sentence, sorry, a clause, that clause would be called as fragment sentence. This is. Next we have example, Asif reads poetry although Ali reads novels. Now here we changed the order from first to second and second to first. Same is the case, but we have put subordinating clause although with the second clause, although Ali reads a book. So now what is the difference between these? If you put the subordinating clause with the first conjunction, that will be called as periodic sentence. Keep remember, periodic sentence. And these type of sentences, complex sentences, when written in your essay or paragraph writing, these are recommended for you people to write, and they are considered as the formal. And in case if you write the second one, Asif reads poetry although Ali reads novels. Likewise, if you write these type of sentences, these are called loose sentences, and loose sentences are always considered as informal. Okay, keep remember, informal. It is giving complete sense, and the sentence by grammar and by English grammar rules, it is correct if you write it, but it is considered as informal and not recommended in your essays and paragraph writing. Oh, now we have the third example of complex sentence. Asif, who reads poetry, sometimes he reads novels. Okay, by the definition, we have said that some of the complex sentences can also be joined by the relative pronoun. So here we have relative pronoun who, and who is used in the place of Asif. Asif, who reads poetry, sometimes reads novels. So this is, we have a complex sentence. And now we have the next example, Asif, who reads poetry, sometimes he reads novels. Okay, so there is both of the sentences are same, but the difference is only by putting the commas between the sentences. So now here we have made an information who reads poetry is the additional information if you want, but it is called, it is not requirement, but if you can write, if you may write, so it will be considered as additional information. But if you look at the first sentence, Asif who reads poetry without putting commas, so it will be considered as not the additional but the compulsory addition of addition of the class. Next we have compound complex sentence. A compound complex sentence has two independent clauses joined by one or more dependent clause. Okay, so now compound complex sentence has two independent clauses joined by one or more dependent clauses. How? While Asif reads poetry, Ali reads novels, but Ahmad reads fictions. Okay, as the definition, we have said two independent clauses. One is Ali reads novel, and the second is Ahmad reads fiction. So both of these sentences made by a conjunction, and that is coordinating conjunction, and we have here the third clause, that is called the dependent clause. While Asif reads poetry, so this is also joined by the same of the sentence with the clauses. So the whole sentence is called compound complex sentence. We have next example. Asif reads poetry, but Ali reads a novel because poetry is difficult. Okay, now we have the next. Here we have Asif reads poetry, an independent clause. Ali reads novels, also an independent clause. But here we have an independent clause, and that is because poetry is difficult. So this clause is joined by with the two independent clauses. So this sentence may also be called compound complex sentence. So dear friends, today we have discussed all about the sentences, types of sentences by purpose and types of sentences by function. So today's lecture here ends.